That's enough, Elon. You did it. You finally crossed the line. Okay, so you've decided to leave the dirty bird. This time, you're gonna do it. No, really. So how do you do it? How do you ride the Mastodon? The first thing you're going to need to do is find yourself an instance, the home of your Mastodon account. A lot of people find this confusing because we've spent so much of our lives with centralized social media where there's one company with one domain, and this is where you go to get your Facebook or your Twitter or your YouTube. But a Mastodon account works more like an email address. Lots of places can host your email address while still letting you communicate with people who have an email address somewhere else. Your Mastodon account could be this guy at mastodon.social or this gal at mast.to. Your account for this network can be registered on one of thousands of different servers. So the best place to start, if this is your first foray into this, is to sign up for an account on the default server. If you download the default Mastodon app or go to the Mastodon website, they'll point you to it. It's a large server run by the folks who make the Mastodon software. It's the Gmail of the Mastodon world. At this time, it's mastodon.social. But as that one fills up, they might start to recommend another. So just go with a recommendation. Now, you can create an instance yourself. It's kind of like getting yourself a professional email address and all that. But it's not a good idea to do right up front. If you find yourself really enjoying Mastodon, you'll be able to migrate your followers over to your new account when the day comes. So for now, don't worry about it. Just go with the someone else's problem server before paying and setting up your own. So you go through that, you log in, and crickets. This is the biggest challenge of Mastodon. Where are my people? Where's my algorithm? Engagement algorithms normally help people transition into a new social media site. People will sign up for TikTok, and even though they don't know anyone, within minutes, the algorithm is shoveling content into their feed and building a new experience tailored to you. There's many people on Mastodon and Threads, which is on the same protocol, but when people are used to an algorithmic buffet of content, a low algorithm system like Mastodon appears empty. A lot of people just don't know what to do. The analogy that I like to use is the music enthusiast. Imagine you're someone who listens to music, which is almost anyone. So great. This is a relatable analogy. These days, most people I know head to Spotify for their music. Spotify helps you build a library. It will play a song from your favorite artist automatically, play another song from the artist, other songs from bands that the artist played in, other songs from bands in the scene that the artist was in. Over time, after you've liked a bunch of songs, it will play a whole range of things related to the songs that you told it to play. This is the recommendation algorithm. It is keeping you engaged, listening, and subscribed to Spotify. Now, there's another way to do music. There are people I know who dive through old boxes of records and read music blogs and forums to find side projects. They tune into radio streams from around the world. They ask for recommendations from people. They go along to shows and they see who's opening for a band that they like. Now, pretty much everyone likes music, but these people are the ones who, love music, like it's an identity. If you know one of these people, it's fascinating. The music they are listening to is still mostly on Spotify, but somehow they absolutely crush the algorithm. Mastodon is a social media network that requires this more intentional approach. It's a place where you actively take charge of finding people and curating what you want to consume. Contrary to popular belief, there is an algorithm. It's just a very light touch of an algorithm. It shows you what you have told Mastodon that you'd like to see in chronological order. And it's kind of funny that this confuses people so much, given that this is actually just how everything worked about 15 years ago. Social media didn't used to feed you irritating hyper-online weirdos who you argue with because you yourself are a hyper-online weirdo. This trade-off is, for many, the whole point. Traditional social media sites have normalized addictive, unhealthy levels of engagement. We spend too much time on them. They make us unhappy and annoyed. Mastodon is, to some degree, for people that would rather spend less time on social media. And when they're there, spend it in a more intentional way. If it was like Twitter, it'd be better at feeding you engaging content. But given what we now know makes engaging content, is that actually better for you? So Mastodon is being very cautious in adding recommendations and engagement algorithms. It wants to be better for its users than Twitter. So how do you find people? Well, the first stop are the places where Mastodon has done some work on recommendations. First thing is the Explore tab. obviously that will possibly pique your interest with certain things. This is fed by people on your home server, so if you're on a big server like the default one, there will be a decent stream of stuff, but it's not tuned to your interests. You might be a cat person, but all you're seeing is these dogs. The general approach is to follow lots of stuff and then trim it down. When you see anything that you remotely like, follow it, then if it's annoying you in your timeline, you can unfollow it later. In the music analogy, you're in the situation where you're trying to get as many boxes of records as possible around you to start sifting through. Want a bit more algorithmic help? What if you want your phone to find a friend? Well, new features are here. Once you've got the ball rolling, you can also leverage the other work the Mastodon developers have been doing recently to make it a little easier. There's a brand new box. A light algorithm looks at the people you follow and lets you know who they follow. One good thing about Mastodon living in this open source, open standard universe is you can choose how you want to interact with it. So Mastodon is running on the server, but that doesn't mean you have to interact with it on the standard app. Helpfully, some app developers have added more discovery features to the app than the stock app. For example, the Mammoth app has smart lists and a For You feature. But honestly, it's not very good. It seems to think I'm a real coastal elite because all it recommends is NPR and the New York Times. Like, pretty much that's it. And these are news sources that aren't even from the country, but I actually live in. Come on, Mammoth. Chuck in CBC there for good measure. Various app developers are working on tools which will allow you to be in control of the algorithm. I'll do a roundup of apps in the future, so let me know your preferred choice and why in the comments so I can add it to my list to review. You'll notice amongst these posts that there's the familiar hashtags of Twitter origin. Hashtags have become key to discovery on the Fediverse. When you click on a hashtag, it'll show you the screen which lets you follow the hashtag. When you see a hashtag that makes you go, oh, that's a good topic, click on it and add it. One easy place to see hashtags is on the Explore tab of your server. If you're on a popular server, you'll find yourself a decent set of trending hashtags. Then start to search out hashtags that you might be interested in. Some really easy ones are the name of your city, country, your career, a cause you believe in, the name of a piece of fiction that you're a big fan of. You type it in, you select hashtag, you click follow. It can be kind of hard when you're hit with this box to actually think, like, what do I like? What do I want to follow? And type it into the box. You know, like, I enjoy a good soup, but soup isn't a hashtag. Should be a hashtag. Probably is a hashtag, but it's probably not a popular one. But, you know, what about like cooking or foodie or recipes? You can get some inspiration for what's going on in the Fediverse over at the website fedi.buzz, but I've personally not had a whole lot of luck there. I don't even know most of the time what they are. I think the issue is that someone needs to create a tool that looks at your current hashtags and recommends new ones that might fit your profile. Seems like a good thing for an app developer to add. Adding to spreadsheet. Hashtags are this kind of ongoing process in the Fediverse. When you see a good one, you grab it and you squirrel it away. If you start to find it annoying, remove it, make a tweak. For example, if you add the hashtag NYC, you're probably going to get totally inundated at some point. But, you know, then you can unfollow it and figure out the more specific tag that you're interested in, like NYC food. This is the pattern of discovery and then trimming stuff back. You'll find yourself in a discovery phase where you're trying to up your game and find new stuff. You'll follow a bunch of accounts, see how that goes, and eventually you realize you can't keep on top of the volume it produced and you need to trim it down. You unfollow things you realize make too much content or things that are more aspirational and you don't actually read. You distill things down to what you actually want to follow. Then one day you're watching a video like this and you go, oh yeah, I should grab another box of records to sift through. And then the process repeats again. You're like a heroic frontier prospector sifting through the sediment to find the gold. Another great place to pick up accounts is this maniac called FediTips. This person, shrouded in mystery, has put a phenomenal amount of time into building a network of accounts and websites to help people join the Fediverse. One such place in the Tips family of public services is fedi.directory. This is a great place to find which news sources, influencers, and institutions that you'd typically follow have made it to the Fediverse. For me, this is where I found my local news outlets, government institutions, and useful bots like transit and traffic and weather. Now, when I first started using Mastodon, I remember getting really confused around this point. I have a whole video on this and other common confusions coming, which is probably worth a watch, But here's the deal. When you're out there on third-party sites searching for stuff and you click on a link, you'll usually find yourself on people's profiles. So let's say, for example, I'm looking through the Fedi directory and I see the Montreal transit status bar. And I think, oh, I take transit. That seems like a good thing for me to keep an eye on. So I go and I click on it and I get taken to the mstdn.ca instance. Mastodon.ca instance, and the account MTL transit status. Great follow, right? The problem is, although this looks exactly the same as most of the other Mastodon instances, including my own, it's not the instance that my account is on. It's another website. When you're not on your home instance, it's a look but can't interact situation because you're not actually logged in to this website. You can't actually interact with notyourmastodon.com. It's a different website. You have to go to your own Mastodon server to interact with notyourmastodon.com's stuff through that. It's like a window. Your own server is the window that you see the fediverse out of. Does that make sense? This is obvious to us when we're used to it and we think it through, but it can be quite confusing with Mastodon because it all looks the same. It's purple with a slightly different logo most of the time. But then as soon as you go to interact or reply or follow, you rudely get told that you have to go home to interact with this comment through the window of your own instance. Once you're on your instance, you can instruct it to follow them, to let them know that you favorited a post, and to send them a comment from you on something that they said. So I don't know what other people do, but I find it kind of annoying to have to type in my home server and then click follow each time. So instead what I do is I have my home server open in another tab, and then I just copy and paste the username and follow it. There's also browser extensions, but yeah, I'll be going over this in that other video. Back over on fedi.directory, you'll see that there are addresses there in full, so you can just copy and paste them into your home server and click follow like this. Find the thing, copy the name, paste it into Mastodon, follow. The other thing that I remember finding annoying or difficult with Mastodon was search. It was difficult to literally find people. Again, a lot of it is because the thing or person is not on your home server. They're on some server for academics or a server for people from this country or that country. If you search for someone, your server needs to know who they are. It needs to be federated with theirs. Obviously, most people are on large servers, but many people are not. But the thing is, the open internet has a really good set of search engines. They're called Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, and about a million other startup search engines. Unlike most of the other social networks, the Fediverse is mostly open and indexed by all the major search engines. So if you're looking for someone, I usually just search for a name and Mastodon, and then it's always found it. I remember when I first started using Mastodon that I was a little dissatisfied finding anyone or anything, but I stuck with it for some reason long enough to have some perspective on what was going on. I come from a YouTube background where there's this different parallel universe called TikTok, where a mostly different group of people also make videos. But you don't really hear people say they can't find anything on TikTok, even though you basically have to start over from scratch when you join the app. The thing that makes Mastodon challenging is that unlike TikTok, it doesn't have an amazing addictive algorithm to shovel content popcorn into your mouth for you, doing everything short of gauging your pupil dilation to decide whether you want to see this or not. A lot of people I know complain about their relationship with social media. They're unhappy about how much time they spend on it and how it makes them feel. It's like smoking cigarettes. There are nice moments. There's networking opportunities outside the bar, but overall, the lost hours of productivity every day, the negative impact on mental health, it certainly wasn't worth it for me. The problem is, when you give people more control, removing the algorithmic nicotine, most people only last a few days before returning to their old habits. Mixing outrage with public validation made Twitter one hell of a drug, and going over to Mastodon was like performing to an empty theater, stone cold sober. But I think this is where something kind of clicked for me for whatever reason. Good. No one's here. This is a fresh social media start. I'm going to reset my relationship with it. I can just be myself, have fun. I can scratch that itch to express my opinion in a few minutes a day without being sucked into hours of wasted time doom scrolling or obsessively rewriting a tweet or arguing with people sometimes. Try not to do that. Eventually, followers did show up, but it's a much more enjoyable experience for me as a creator because the stuff I say isn't being shoved into the face of people who disagree with me to trigger them. So it's generally just good vibes. And I now realize that the big challenge with moving to Mastodon from Twitter is that so many people are learning how a pretty complicated new piece of technology works, while also experiencing withdrawals. But I'm glad I got through it. I mean, embarrassed to say this, but I've been reading books. Yeah, been reading books.